Hi.
Alright, hello guys. If you're brand new to my channel, my name is Nikki, and this is my book nook. Guys, we gotta talk. I literally just finished this book not even 5 minutes ago. It is called Ember of Night by Molly E. Lee. It is a brand new young adult fantasy. It just came out in the last week or two. And I have so many thoughts. The way that I actually found this book, funny enough, I found it through the Crave series. They are from the same publisher called Untitled Teen. At the end of Covet, I think it was, which was the third book in the series, after the book was over, it had a like sneak peek of this book. It was the prologue and the first chapter. And I normally never read stuff like that, but it had a picture of the cover and it just like totally caught my eye because it is a beautiful cover. I was just like, the name sounds interesting, the picture sounds interesting. Okay, like I'll read this. And it honestly really sucked me in. I was like, okay, this sounds interesting, whatever. And I just like didn't think much of it for a little bit, but like a couple weeks later, I just kept like randomly thinking about that book. And I was like, what is that book called again? And I went and I looked it up and it wasn't even out yet. So I actually ended up pre-ordering it. It came out, like I said, like 2 weeks ago, and I got it in the mail the day it came out, and I just read it in like 2 days. And I'm gonna have to give like, I'll give like a little spoiler-free general synopsis talk at first, and then I'm gonna have to go on like a bit of a, I don't know if a rant is the right word, but I just have a lot of things to say. So this book is very much like my type of book. I read a lot of different types of things, but I'm very much a fantasy girl, and if I had to pick like one genre that specifically like encompasses the majority of what I love, it is a just standard like YA urban fantasy with a sprinkle of romance. I just love it. I eat it up. There's so many books like that. Like something, like I love a high fantasy. I love world building, but there's something about like magic in the real world, like real places that we know, that just makes it feel like a little more real, makes me think like, maybe this does exist. Like I know it doesn't, but you know, like I love that. Like I prefer it. And these kind of books, I just feel like also they're what I grew up on. They're what made me fall in love with reading, what made me fall in love with the fantasy genre. I love it. So this book is very much that. It follows a girl named Harley. She lives in downtown Chicago. I'm trying to figure out how to talk about this book without spoiling it because it's like really hard. Harley has basically grown up in a very rough household. Her mother left her when she was very young. She has a younger sister who is now 7. She is about to turn 18, and they live with their father in a trailer, and their father is an alcoholic. He is very physically abusive to Harley, and it's just a very rough time. She spends like the majority of her life working at this sandwich shop in Chicago and saving up as much money as she can to just help her sister. Her little sister Ray is her entire world. She just wants her to have a better life. She wants to protect her, and on the day of her 18th birthday, her plan is to move out, get her own apartment, bring Ray with her. Harley is kind of an outcast. She really doesn't have any friends except for this one boy named Kai, who she's grown up with and known her entire life. But a new boy enters the picture at the beginning of this book. His name is Draven. She runs into him at a club, and then he ends up working at the sandwich shop. She comes in, she hears there's a new employee, and it's Draven. And he, of course, is tall, dark, handsome, mysterious. Can't stop thinking about him, like the same way every fantasy story goes, and we love it, so I'm not making fun of it. Without spoiling much, basically one night some guys attack Harley. They say some very weird things. They're like, is she the one? What is she? They keep calling her pet. They're like, she smells different. And she's kind of able to miraculously fight these guys off. She touches them and they like kind of burn. That's really all I can say without like spoiling it, but this book very much gives me Shadowhunters vibes. If you are into that world at all, especially Mortal Instruments, like this book is very similar to that, especially with like the relationship between Harley and Kai and Draven. Like it very much reminds me of the kind of, I mean, it literally is so similar to the kind of love triangle-ish relationship between Clary, Simon, and Jace. Like almost carbon copy if I'm being honest, but it's good. Like, so if you like that book, you will definitely like this one, the same way that it's set in like downtown, like they constantly like they're riding the train and stuff. This book does involve, I mean, you can literally tell from the cover, it's very much has to do with demons and things like that. It is good. It's hard because whenever I read this, like was reading this, I started it, the first like 100 pages, I was like very hooked. Like I was like, oh my God, this is like I'm gonna be obsessed with this. Like, this is gonna be a new, great, like, fantasy, young adult series. Like, I'm so into it. But I just felt like something about it kind of, I don't know, depleted as it went on. I feel like I have to give it like a 3-star. I do encourage you, like, if you like this type of book, to go read it, but it just isn't like the best thing I've ever read. I feel like it's very obvious that there's gonna be like somewhat of a relationship between Draven and Harley, but like for me, the like slow burn aspect of that was just way too fast for me. Like, which not everybody loves a slow burn. Some people are like, just get this over with, but I feel like that is such a big part of a story, and whenever the tension is just gone in like half a second, it's like, oh, but they still try to like make there be tension, but I'm like, there's not tension, like you've already given in, like just stop, you know? And like with that part like done and settled, I felt like the rest of the story, like the plot for me was kind of lacking a little bit. That's literally all I can say without spoiling it. So at this point, if you haven't read this book, like I said, if you're into urban fantasies, if you're into shadow hunters, I would recommend reading this book for sure. Like, go pick it up. It's a quick, little easy read. I will say, I don't know how many like young people watch me. This is very much like marketed as young adult, but like there's some very not young adult things in it, which is one reason why I didn't love it, because I feel like it's a very like young adult vibes story, and a lot of the writing is very kind of like juvenile and young adult, and like you feel like it's very just like supposed to be happy-go-lucky, but then there's like very horrible, serious things happening at home with her dad, like, and there's some spice in this book that comes out of nowhere, which like, okay, I am a person, like I love a spicy book. I'm not like against that, but I need you to pick your age group. Like, this might be so annoying that I'm saying this for some people, but I'm just like, if I'm reading a young adult, like I love young adult, I love middle grade, like I go into it preparing myself for what I'm gonna get. So then whenever randomly, like for half a second, things get like very rated R, and I'm like, wait, like, cause up until that point, like I would have handed this to a 12-year-old and been like, go read this, and then very inappropriate things happen, and I was just like, wait, what? And then it just went right back to like the YA style writing, and I was like, I'm a little confused. So yes, that is all I will say. Again, pretty good book, not the greatest thing I've ever read. Definitely interesting. There will for sure be a sequel by the end of this book, like I could tell that. I think I would give it a chance.
Hi, future Nikki here. It is a few days later and I'm editing this and I'm watching it back going like, sister, what were you thinking? Because I'm not going to read the sequel for this book. Like, let me be straight up honest with you. It went so downhill. The beginning was so good and it's so nosedive for me. So we'll not be reading the sequel. Honestly, wouldn't even recommend it. I mean, unless you just want like a quick, easy YA urban fantasy. But anyways, just stay tuned for my rant because I promise it's interesting.
But yeah, okay, if you haven't read the book, leave. Now I'm going to talk about it. Guys, okay, like I said, when I started this book, the first 100 pages, I was enamored. Like, I was like, okay, Draven is spicy, this little like love triangle is kind of fun. Like the way that Harley worked for Nathan's and everything, like, okay, Nathan is an angel. He's a great character, like he cares so much about her and Ray, but I'm like, there's something fishy, right? Like, I'm just confused how this man literally owns like a sandwich shop in Chicago, downtown Chicago, and has like unlimited money. Like, where do you just get all this money from? And also the thing with her dad. So I felt like the like physical abuse coming from her dad was a bit much for me. Like, it's like, I read like very intense stuff. It's not that. It's just that, like I said, I didn't feel like that was this type of book. Like, this felt very YA, yet her dad is like beating the crap out of her every night, like every night. And I understand that they explain at the end that it's like, oh, you were given to me and I was supposed to make your life miserable and make you feel worthless every day. I'm like, you could have made her feel worthless without like literally like beating her up every night. Like, and I think it was just brought up so much that I almost like, I got like desensitized to it, which shouldn't be a thing. And like, okay, whenever he like threw Ray against the wall, I was ready to go to battle. Like, I was like, oh my God, like it made me hate him. So I get that like that had the impact it was meant to have, but I just like, I thought that there was too much focus on that and like it wasn't necessary and it wasn't like, it didn't need to be in this story. I don't know. I just didn't vibe with it. And I thought the big reveal of him not being the dad, like, yes, I was happy, but I don't know. Like, I just wasn't, something about that, I didn't like it. And I think he could have just been like a crappy drunk dad that treated her like crap. Like, I don't think he needed to like be that like physically abusive. Like, I didn't think it had a place in this story. Okay, and her relationship with Draven. Loved Draven when we first met him. I was like, oh my god. And like, yes, they had like a couple of conversations where I was like, oh my gosh, like, yes, like he's getting her, like I'm falling for him. Okay, but they just like, things between them just happened so fast that I'm just like, wait, what? Like, you guys barely know each other. I just felt like the burn was kind of like gone for me. I was like, okay, so now they're just like together. But like, she still tried to make it seem very like tense. Like there was like a lot of tension, but I'm like, I'm not feeling the tension. Like, you guys are making out every 5 seconds. Like, would you just like be together? Like, stop trying to pretend like you haven't already like admitted you like each other. Like, I don't know, like to me, I was like, that like really disappointed me. That aspect, I just was kind of like, and then, okay, like I said, what the heck happened at the end of the book where this suddenly got like hella spicy and rated R for, but it was like for barely half a paragraph. Like, you can't just go from like, oh, smooch, smooch, like, oh, okay, like whatever, like it had been, very PG, to like graphic, like descriptions of things. Perhaps, like, literally if I would have been scanning, I would have like maybe gone over it. Like, I low-key at that point was kind of scanning, and I was like, excuse me? Like, I just feel like if you're gonna be spicy, like, be spicy, you know? Don't like throw in, like, I would rather for this type of book that, again, felt very YA, I don't mind, like, oh, we kissed, mwah, 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 like, asterisks, go to the next scene. Like, imply it. You know, like, am I crazy? Like, do you guys know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like you need to, like, make up your mind on what you want to do. Like, don't do both, because it just made me, again, like, I feel like this could totally, especially by the cartoony cover, like, a 12-year-old could pick this up. And then that's, like, not appropriate. Like, I was not reading appropriate things when I was 12, so I don't know why that like bothers me so much, but it's just like, I don't know, to me that was odd. I also felt like the world building or something with this book, I thought it was so interesting. Like, I was so enthralled with like what is happening here, and like why do these people want her, like who is she, what is she? But something about like when it was actually revealed, I was just like, oh, like when Draven literally was like explaining that there's like demons to her, and she literally responded, which I kind of laughed, when she was just like, oh, okay. And he's like, that's all you have to say? And she's like, well, you know, whatever. I just like, I don't know, it was just like, oh, there's demons now, like just accept that. And I didn't feel like, I was just like, okay, what's the point though? Like, okay, there's demons. Like, I didn't feel like a world was really like, I don't know, like maybe I'm being dramatic. It's just, I read like so many books that are similar to this that I can't help but like pick things apart a little bit. Like, maybe I'm being a little harsh, but I don't know, like I just didn't understand the point or purpose. Like, yes, okay, they want her so that she can release like the greater demon Murid, which that did, like that was cool how like the sister was seeing him in the dreams and stuff. But I don't know, like something about like the actual like story and the reveal didn't do much for me. Also, the way that Draven is like what he is, I think it's badass that he's like the siphon and he's like the protector, whatever. But okay, the way that he literally explains to Harley, like, if I touch you, you could die, like, yet they've already made out 5 times. I'm like, how concerned were you? Like, when you were, excuse me, what? Like, that just didn't add up to me. I'm like, why? I would think, like, he at first didn't want to touch her, and then they were like, so I'm like, are you worried or are you not? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. Also, I don't know, I just felt like this started out so strong and then it just like didn't meet my expectations. I just feel like there wasn't anything, like, I understand in books, like, I love when like authors drop like hints, like things that you're gonna like remember and then be like, okay, like that's gonna be important later. But I just felt like she dropped like too many hints. Like, she pointed out the bracelet like too many freaking times. Like, I just felt like a lot of the things that were like plot twists were just so predictable and obvious. Like, there was nothing that happened that made me go like, what? I had no idea. Like, I mean, Kai being like a straight up like the same thing as Draven, which, oh my god, Draven knowing that and like not saying anything, like again, he's like, oh, I can't reveal another judge. You couldn't think of a way to tell Harley that her best friend is like trying to kill her? Like you just thought like, sure, I'll let her keep hanging out with him. Am I like, do you know what I'm saying? And also Harley as a character, I said the exact same thing about Crave. This book in a lot of ways reminded me of Crave. I feel like this is like a hot take I have that a lot of people don't agree on, but like when girls in books have this habit of saying every 5 seconds, I don't need your help. I don't need you to take care of me. I can take care of myself. Like it just like grinds my gears. Like it just annoys me. It's like, girl, we like say it once. Okay, I get it. But like I hate like, and I do think like whatever, a girl can handle herself. Sure, I'm not trying to be like whatever, they need a man to swoop in and save them every 5 seconds. But like when quite literally you need a man to swoop in and save you, like you were like on the verge of death and someone swoops in and saves you and you decide to be like, ah, I can handle myself. I don't need your help. Like, girl, you did need his help. Like, stop acting like that. Like, it annoys me so much, and I just feel like that's such a common theme in like fantasy books recently. It's just like overdone, and it just like, I don't know, I'm just like tired of reading that every 5 seconds. Another thing, speaking of being tired of reading, his freaking nickname for her, Honey Badger, made me want to puke. I hated it. He said it every 5 seconds, and it wasn't cute. Like I love when a boy gives a girl a nickname in a book, and when it's something like cute, like I love it. It literally makes me like melt on the inside. But Honey Badger was not a cute nickname, and it was annoying, and it takes like 5 seconds too long to say, and it was just said too much. I don't know. This rant made it sound like I hated this book. I didn't hate it. I just think I was so disappointed because like I said, I felt like it started out so good and it just like really like disappointed me. And I want to say the reason for that is like, oh, maybe it was just too YA. Like I keep saying, I feel like a 12-year-old would have been like really blown away by this book, like the major plot of it. But then it gets very not like child appropriate. So like, I feel like this is geared towards my age group, but for me, it just didn't quite do it. And then the big reveal at the end of like, haha, you're the Antichrist. And she's just like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, okay, blah, my SD card filled because I was ranting so long. So yeah, guys, if you read this book, let me know what your thoughts were on it. I didn't hate it. I just, like I said, this is my freaking genre. This is the stuff I love. So like, I can't help but be like, critical of it because I've just read a lot of it and like, you know, I'm very passionate. But yeah, please tell me your thoughts. Tell me if you totally disagree with me. Tell me if you think I'm being overly harsh. Tell me if you'll read the sequel when it comes out. But yeah, I think that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you very soon.